Here is a planning problem with a catch. 2 decisions, 2 limits, and the answers have to come out whole. Machines, crews, trucks. You cannot build 3/4 of a machine. Drop the whole number demand for a moment and a linear program answers in an instant 3.75 and 2.25 worth 41.25. So round it off and go home, right? Round up and you get 4 and 2. Put it back into the second limit, 46 units of something you only have 45 of. Not allowed. Round down instead and you leave money on the table. The genuine best whole number answer is somewhere else entirely. Then test every possibility. With 50 yes or no decisions, there are over a quadrillion of them. At 1 billion checks a second, that is still about 13 days. We need something far smarter than looking. Here is that problem drawn out. The shaded polygon is everything the relaxed problem allows. The dots are the only points that are truly legal, because both variables have to be whole numbers. Push the profit line outward as far as it will go. It stops on this corner, 3.75 and 2.25, worth 41.25. A perfectly good answer, except it is fractional. And that number is the most useful thing on this screen. Every whole number solution is also allowed by the relaxed problem, so no integer answer can possibly beat it. 41.25 is a ceiling we can trust. 2 great methods exploit it. The first chops the problem into pieces and uses the ceiling to discard entire pieces without ever opening them. The second reshapes the region itself, until its best corner happens to land on one of the dots. Let us build the first one. The relaxation handed us x1 equal to 3.75. Look at the number line for a second. There is no whole number strictly between 3 and 4. That gap is not an obstacle. It is a lever. So make 2 smaller problems out of it. In one, x1 is capped at 3. In the other, x1 starts at 4. Same objective, same original limits, just one extra bound each. Watch what that does to the picture. The strip between 3 and 4 is removed, and the fractional corner that was blocking us goes with it. Yet not a single dot is lost, because every dot already had a whole number in its first coordinate. That is the whole trick of branching. Together the 2 branches still cover every integer solution, so nothing can slip away. They never overlap, so nothing is examined twice. And each one is a smaller problem of exactly the same kind, which means we can do it again. Before the rules, one piece of bookkeeping. The incumbent is simply the best whole number solution found so far. A running champion, and a number every other branch now has to beat. Rule 1. Solve the node and the linear program reports no feasible point at all. The extra bounds contradict the original limits, so there is nothing down there to find. Close it. Rule 2, and this is the one that does the heavy lifting. The node's own ceiling comes out no better than the incumbent. Then nothing beneath it can beat the champion either, so the entire branch is discarded on the strength of a single comparison. Rule 3. The relaxation obliges and hands back whole numbers. That is a genuine candidate. If it beats the champion, it becomes the new one. Either way, there is nothing left to split. Any one of the 3 closes a node for good. And here is the payoff. When every node has been closed this way, the champion is not merely the best you happened to find. It is provably the best that exists. Every node in this tree is a small integer program, the original one, plus whatever extra bounds we picked up on the way down. The root is the problem itself, and we already know its ceiling. 41.25 at a fractional corner. x1 came out fractional, so we split on it. Left branch, x1 at most 3. Right branch, x1 at least 4. Two new problems, and every legal solution still sits under one of them. Take the left branch first. Cap x1 at 3 and the relaxation lands exactly on a whole number point, 3 and 3, worth 39. Rule 3 fires. This is a real candidate, and since we had nothing before, it becomes our first champion. 39 goes on the board. From here on, every other branch has to promise more than 39, or it is not worth opening. Now the right branch. Force x1 to at least 4 and the relaxation gives 4 and 1.8, worth 41. Still fractional, and 41 is comfortably above 39, so this branch might genuinely hide something better. It stays open. One champion, one closed branch, one live question. Let us finish it. Picking up exactly where we stopped. Champion at 39, and one live node whose ceiling is 41. Its solution had x2 at 1.8, so this time we split on x2. At most 1 on the left, at least 2 on the right. The right one dies immediately, demanding 4 or more of the first and 2 or more of the second pushes their sum to at least 6, but the first constraint caps the sum at 6. So the sum is exactly 6, and substituting that into the second constraint forces x1 below 3.75, which contradicts x1 at least 4. Infeasible. Rule 1. The left one survives. Its relaxation gives 4.44 and 1, worth 40.56. Above the champion, so we cannot discard it, and fractional again in x1. Split once more. Cap x1 at 4 and you land on 4 and 1, worth 37. Whole numbers, yes, but weaker than the champion. It closes without ever becoming the incumbent. Push x1 to 5 instead, and the only point left standing is 5 and 0, worth 40. Whole numbers, and better than 39. New champion. And now look around the tree. Every single node is closed, 1 infeasible, 1 bounded out, 3 integer. Nothing is left to explore, so 5 and 0, worth 40, is not a good guess. It is the proven optimum. Notice we reached it after 7 small linear programs, not by testing candidates. Our tree had 7 nodes. A real one can have millions, and two choices decide which. Which node do you open next, and which fractional variable do you split on? Depth first plunges straight down one path. It reaches a whole number solution quickly, which hands you a champion early, and it barely uses any memory. That early champion is exactly what makes the bound rule bite. Best first ignores the path, and always opens whichever live node has the highest ceiling. It usually proves optimality with fewer nodes, but it has to keep the whole frontier in memory. As for which variable, the simple habit is to split the one nearest a half. Serious solvers go further and estimate which split will tighten the ceiling the most. But be honest about the limits. Integer programming is NP hard. No rule guarantees a fast answer. Good strategy just keeps the typical tree small enough to finish. Branch and bound accepts the shape of the region and carves up the search instead. Cutting planes do the opposite. They go after the shape itself. Consider this one extra inequality, 3x1 plus 2x2, at most 15. Test it on the legal points. All 25 of them satisfy it, and 2 of them, 3, 3 and 5, 0, sit exactly on the line. But the fractional corner fails it. 3 times 3.75 plus 2 times 2.25 is 15.75 over the limit. So this inequality is true for every point we care about and falls exactly where we are stuck. That is what makes it a cut. Add it and the sliver holding that corner disappears without taking one legal point with it. Resolve. And the best corner of what remains is 5 and 0. Whole numbers, worth 40. A single well-chosen cut just solved the integer problem outright, no tree required. In general, you will not be that lucky in one step. So you repeat solve, cut, until the corner comes out whole. So where did that inequality come from? Not from inspiration. Gomory's recipe reads it straight off the final simplex tableau. This is the row for x1 at the fractional corner, written in terms of the two slack variables. Since all the data are whole numbers, those slacks are whole numbers at any legal point too. Now split every coefficient into a whole part plus a leftover fraction between 0 and 1. Minus 1.25 is minus 2 plus 0.75. 0.25 is 0 plus 0.25. And the right hand side, 3.75, is 3 plus 0.75. Push the whole parts to one side and the fractions to the other. Look carefully at what you get. The left side is built entirely from integers, so it is an integer. The right side is 0.75 minus something that cannot be negative, so it never exceeds 0.75. An integer that is at most 0.75 must be 0 or less. Rearrange that and out falls the cut. The fractional parts, weighted by the variables, must add up to at least the fraction on the right. That is Gomory's fractional cut in one line. Write the slacks back in terms of the original variables, and this is exactly the inequality we used a moment ago. And notice why it always bites. At the current corner both slacks are 0, so the left side is 0, which is certainly not at least 0.75. The cut is violated there, so resolving has to move somewhere new. In practice, nobody picks one method. Pure cutting can crawl, taking many cuts to close the last sliver, and pure branching can grow an enormous tree. So solvers do both, in a loop. At each node, generate a handful of cuts first. They pull that node's ceiling down. A lower ceiling means the bound rule fathoms sooner, which means a much smaller tree. This hybrid, branch and cut, is what runs inside the industrial solvers that schedule airlines and plan power grids today. Strip it all down and 4 ideas remain. The relaxation gives you a ceiling you can trust. A fractional variable gives you a place to split. 3 rules tell you when a branch is finished. And a valid inequality lets you reshape the region instead of searching it. Everything else in this field is a refinement of those 4 moves. Try this one before you move on. The relaxation stops at 3 and 1.5, worth 21. Branch on that half, run the 3 rules honestly, and you should arrive at 4 and 0, worth 20, with an integrality gap of exactly 1. Bound it, branch it, cut it. That is how a problem with a quadrillion candidates gets solved in seconds. Next, we look at a different way to break a hard problem into pieces, dynamic programming. See you there.